Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video.
I'd like to say hello to everyone who's here for Understanding High School, said Miss Roth Morton, the head of my new school. This is a new school in an old school building, but it is set up to meet the needs of all its students. Let me tell you what Understanding High School is and why I'm going there. The school came first. About 500,000 people live in the city I live in. This is also one of the wealthiest cities in the country, so the schools get all the money they need. Understanding High School was made after the third lawsuit was filed by the parents of a student who was bullied just because they were different. So, this high school was made for these students, so they wouldn't have to worry about getting bullied by football players if they didn't do the team's homework. If a student is caught bothering another student, they are sent back to the school they came from. Before school started, they solved their first problem, realizing that high school wouldn't have any sports programs. Yes, we have physical education, but there aren't any teams that meet after school. As for me, I have 2 problems that I know Understanding High will help me solve. I'm 5.3 feet tall and weigh 120 pounds. I spent so much time in my locker that the teacher in the room next to it had to check on me before he left for the day to make sure I wasn't still there. I also like wearing clothes made for women. I've had so much trouble with this problem. I almost wore a pair of pants to school a few times. On the Understanding High School application, these are the reasons I gave. The first problem was known to my parents, but the second was not. I'm afraid of what my dad would do if he ever found out. A counselor at Understanding High named Miss Thornton asked me to come to the school. First things first, Dean. You will go to Understanding High because you were chosen, she told me. Do you want to ask her anything before we go on? Was I picked because of my size or something else? I had to find out. Miss Thornton told me that you were qualified for both, but either one would have been fine. She talked about Understanding High some more. No one will bother you like they did at your last school. If a student gets caught, he or she will have to go back to the school they came from. There's no need to worry about me going back. I told you can be sent back to your old school for breaking more than just that rule. On school grounds, we won't let anything weird happen. You can kiss, but that's as far as it goes. We can't control what happens off school grounds. Students and teachers will not get to know each other. The main reason for this is that the teachers also filled out a request like you did. Some of them are also bullied, and others like to dress like women. Yes, I get it. I replied, okay, but what about my other problem? We're trying to fix that. Some of the boys will come to school dressed as girls. There will be a solution for people like you whose parents don't know about their secret. As soon as Miss Thornton was done talking, she stood up and extended her hand to me. I'm glad you're here at Understanding High. In 5 minutes, I will have a new student. Before I leave, I have a question. How many people are the same as me? The ones whose parents don't know that they need to dress like girls. 22. I got out of there. Day 1 of school. I am in the school cafeteria with 200 other students listening to Miss Roth Morton. Understanding was made to help kids who don't belong anywhere else. We all have our own problems, whether we're teachers, students, or people in charge. Miss Roth Morton said that. In the back, someone said, administrators. We are all administrators, and I am one of them. I asked to be hired. When I said what qualifications I had, I was accepted right away. Would you like me to tell you about what makes me unique? Yes, rang out from everyone. I was born a male, but am now a female. I'm happy with who I am. Most of your teachers, if not all of them, have some of the same problems you do. That's why they were always worried about getting fired. Just like with you students, there will be no weird activity between teachers and students, or between students. This is important, and I want you all to remember that this school is a test run. If you mess it up and the school board decides to close Understanding, you will put the students in later classes through the same struggles and problems we are trying to get rid of. This is the last thing I want to say. If you follow the rules in the Understanding Handbook, you won't run into any problems. Then, at your class reunion in 20 years, you'll be proud to have been the first group to graduate from Understanding High School." Then Miss Thornton walked out on stage. She said, "I don't have a speech ready." The cafeteria was filled with the sound of people clapping. "I only have one thing to say. Will these students please come to room 26? She then read the list of 22 boys, which included my name. "The following students should also go to room 19. 10 names of girls were called out. The rest of you should go to class in the 3rd period. You are now free to go." After 5 minutes, 22 boys were standing outside of room 26's locked door. From the maps we were all given, it looked like room 26 was about 3 times bigger than any other classroom. After a minute, Miss Thornton came in. As we were getting together, Miss Thornton said, "During your interviews last summer, we told you we were working on your problem of wanting to dress like a girl and go to school, but we couldn't because your parents didn't know about it. I hope that everyone is happy with how we solved your problem," she said as she unlocked the door to room 26 and opened it. We did nothing but stand there and look. Our minds couldn't make sense of what our eyes saw. On the wall opposite the door, there were vanity mirrors like the ones you'd find in a teenage girl's room for putting on makeup. Along another wall, there were too many dress racks, blouse racks, skirt racks, and sweater racks to count. 5 chests of drawers were also there. You can wear these clothes while you're at Understanding High. You can come early enough to get dressed and still be on time for your first class if you want to. You can change back into the clothes you wore to school after your last class. The chests of drawers will hold your training bras, nylons, and other pants that girls need to wear. 22 racks are there. Each one has a name on it, which means that person's clothes were set aside for them. You have set aside 2 drawers for your own undergarments. As Miss Thornton told us this, we all lined up like drivers in a motocross, waiting for the bell to ring. You can start. The boys mostly ran to the clothes rack. In less than a minute, 22 teenage boys were laughing and giggling like 22 teenage girls. I stopped to enjoy the way my bra and pants made me feel. This also gave me time to watch the other girls, I guess I should call us girls now, as we tried to decide what to wear on the first day of school. Come on, girls, make a decision. We can't wait until tomorrow. Miss Thornton told me so. Choose a nice thing to wear. Everything will fit together perfectly tomorrow. When the crowd around the dress racks thinned out, I went over to choose a dress for the day. I knew right away which one to choose. It looked just like a purple dress I've seen my mother wear. I have dreamed many times that I was wearing this dress. I was one of the first people to sit down at one of the vanity tables. I didn't want any makeup to get on that gorgeous dress. "Dean, don't sit down until everyone else has," Miss Thornton told me, "so I'll only tell you how to put on your makeup once." I had to decide what to do, so I put on the dress I'd always wanted to wear. It wasn't as much as people might think, it was just something a high schooler could wear. I didn't want to ruin my first pair of nylons, so I wore knee-high socks that went with the dress and Mary Jane shoes instead. When I was done tying my shoes, everyone else was already dressed. First, each of you needs to get a hairbrush, then use it to give your hair a more girly look. Miss Thornton walked down the line of girls and helped those who couldn't get there right. Since we don't have much time left until the bell, I'll show you how to put on lipstick and rouge. Your PE teacher and I will talk more about makeup and other things a girl needs to know tomorrow during PE. When it came to my lipstick and rogue, I went for a simple look. The bell then rang. "Remember that you should come here to room 26 instead of PE tomorrow." As we were leaving, Miss Thornton told us, "Don't forget your bags either." As I walked to my next class, no one looked at me or said anything mean. The people at Understanding High accepted each other for who they were on the inside, not what they looked like on the outside. The next class I had was history, and then the class after that was economics. Both classes were in the same room, but they had different teachers. As soon as I walked into the room, one of the other students motioned for me to sit next to her. She did not make the list of 22. "Hey, Dean." As I sat down, she said,
I was sure I had heard that voice before, but I couldn't remember where. I bet you don't know who I am with my womanly grab, she told me. Is that you, Sam? Sam Crawford is my best friend from high school and the only one I still talk to. Please call B. Sabrina. When my parents saw me all dressed up, they told me what the rules were. As long as I didn't tell anyone, I could dress up as much as I wanted. She let me know. What do they think about you going to understand? I did ask. My parents signed me up, so I didn't even have to do it myself. I was one of the first people to sign up for the class. They don't care that you want to dress up, do they? They don't. No. We couldn't talk anymore. The teacher of history walked into the room. Please take a seat, students. You can go wherever you want. I don't choose where people sit, he let us know. I'm Mr. Foster, and I'll be teaching you about history. He was standing by his desk. I'd like to tell you all why I teach at Understanding. I'm trans, but I didn't tell anyone until after I was hired here at Understanding, so I won't do anything that could hurt my job. All of my classes had this happen. Each teacher at Understanding told us why they were a teacher there. Sabrina and I only had history in common, but we usually had lunch together. We sat with a few other people we knew from other classes. Oh, I forgot to ask you what your woman's name is. How important is it? I did ask. It is. You look like a girl, so you should call yourself something girly. Dean won't work. Jennifer has always been a nice name, I said. She then told everyone at the table that my name was Jennifer. Hello, I'm Brock. You're one of the 22 boys who haven't told their parents that they like to dress like girls, right? Brock was dressed like a boy, but he was a girl on the inside. Don't worry, I'm going through the same thing. I haven't told my parents, so before I leave the house, I have to dress like a girl. I change into these great clothes when I get to school. After lunch, I learned that it wasn't just the students who had to keep secrets from their families. The English literature teacher, Miss Jameson, tell us what's going on with her. I cross-dress in secret. If my wife ever found out what was wrong with me, she would be on her way to a divorce lawyer in a flash. So I'll change here at school, just like some of you, she told me. So this is how the book Understanding High School came to be, a school where students, teachers, and administrators could be who they are or what they want to be without worrying about getting hurt. A healthy place where teachers can teach and students can learn. After the last class, 22 of us took off our girly clothes in room 26. It was a sad sight. The only thing that kept me from crying was the thought that I could be Jennifer again tomorrow. My English literature teacher, Mr. Jameson, lived only about 4 blocks away from me. We decided to share a car because we both had to get to school early and leave late. When I walked into the kitchen, "How was school today?" my mom asked. "Great. I won't mind going to school for once," I answered. "Before your dad gets home, you should go wash your face," she said to me. "Why?" I did ask. "You didn't get your lipstick off completely." She said this while pointing to her lip. "Mom!" I was about to scream. "Don't be afraid. I know everything about room 26. She let me know. "How come all of your clothes seem to fit so well?" "Then there's the dress I own that you like best." "How do you think it ended up on your rack? I'm betting that was the dress you wore today." "It was, yes. How do you know everything you say?" I had to be sure. Is Dad aware? No, he doesn't, and I like it that way. I've known for years that you cross-dress. You didn't pay as much attention as you thought you did. I found that my clothes were out of place or stretched weirdly. "Why did you keep quiet?" I asked. "I just thought you would work it out. When the school district made Understanding, I knew it was the best high school for you. Remember how mad your dad got at me last June when I went over my budget? I didn't buy clothes for myself. I bought clothes for you. I knew you would get into Understanding in May of last year." Thank you so much, Mom. I can't believe this." I left to wash my face. As I left, she told me, "Dean, you have to still use room 26. Your dad doesn't know. But eventually, I'm sure we can tell him and he will be accepting." Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.